Good morning, traders and investors. This is Joel Elconin. Welcome to Benzinga's pre-market. Should we call it synthetic Wednesday show, Joe?
Synthetic Wednesday. Why is that, Joel?
Well, because the markets are closed on Thursday, right? So we have one less day this week, so we're one step closer to Friday. So it's synthetic Wednesday.
So
Too bad that it's Tuesday.
does that mean that Friday will be synthetic Sunday since the markets are closed the day before?
No, because
And it's a half day?
no, it will just be synthetic. It will be real Friday on Friday.
I see. Okay. Well, this Friday is how every Friday should be. Markets close at 1, everybody takes off early for the weekend.
And Joe, I heard that you put in a request for the day off so you could go shopping on Black Friday.
I tried, but my request was denied because everyone enjoys having me in the office so much.
So you're not going to.
Right.
I mean, otherwise there'd be no sunshine, lights wouldn't be on, there wouldn't be any coffee made. You get the idea.
No one would yell at Drew.
No, that would still happen.
Wait, you make K-cups, so
Shh. It's like my homemade Stouffer's mac and cheese that everybody wants the recipe for.
So what are your plans for Black Friday? I mean, are you a big online shopper? Are you such a Grinch you don't buy gifts for anybody, or what are your plans for Black Friday?
Well, since the family has gotten larger in the last few years, so we don't actually buy presents for everyone anymore. We just draw names and then you buy one person a gift or something like that. So I prefer to do my shopping online so as to avoid going to the storefront. So on Black Friday, I will be just observing all of the craziness that goes on in the stores and getting some feedback from my relatives that are going and just being a cautious observer, that's all. But in the afternoon, maybe I'll go pick through the bones at Best Buy.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're going on shopping on Black Friday, good luck to you out there. I think there's only one thing worse that's shopping on Black Friday. And a few years ago, I went to the grocery store on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Not smart. Not smart at all. There's nothing left.
It was a battleground. I mean, I was fighting old ladies for sweet potatoes. I mean, it was people were ramming carts into me. It was unbelievable. But so you don't have anything special on your Black Friday list, or what you're looking for online, so we can perhaps figure out what retailers are going to do well this season.
No, I mean, I only go to Best Buy on Black Friday because that's the only place that I really shop besides the grocery store. So look to Best Buy on Black Friday because they usually discount just about everything in the store.
Okay, so when is the market going to start discounting? We got this huge storm rolling in, right? And
Well, don't forget, Joel, that we still have Cyber Monday to look to as well. It's not just Black Friday anymore, it's the Monday after, too.
But isn't there like a huge storm rolling in that's total? It's supposed to wreck the Black Friday shopping. I don't, or is that just something that they're coming up with on the Weather Channel to get you to watch it?
It sounds like an old wives' tale to me.
Okay, well, let's take a quick look at the markets here this morning. We did have a little sell-off in the S&Ps late in the day. We dipped below the $1,800 level, got to $1798.50. I haven't touched that level yet in the pre-market, so I guess as long as you're holding this 1801 low, kind of just sitting a couple points off it, that 1798.50 would be my point where I would say the bull market is over and you need to start looking to liquidate your portfolio. Just joking.
Joel the Eternal Bear.
And the Eternal Bull gets on the pipes right now.
I'm here, and yeah, I'm still bullish. I know. It's just a broken record with me here, but path of least resistance just continues to remain higher. Don't know when it's going to eventually shake this out. Eventually, obviously, we'll have some type of a pullback. I just don't know when here, and I don't know if we're going to see it this week or not. Obviously, retailers will be in focus this week with Black Friday, like you were saying, coming up. So where are you guys shopping here this Friday? So I know which stocks to buy today.
Well, Joel will probably be going to Tiffany and Company because he
Ooh.
wants to stock up on gifts for his lovely daughters and his wife, right, Joel?
Actually, I'm going to be here Friday morning doing the pre-market info show.
That's right.
Okay,
I
for all of
forgot. We
our
still got
loyal
to do that on
listeners,
Friday.
work comes first. And then in the afternoon, I just happen to have tickets to the Michigan basketball game. So that will be my plans for Black Friday.
I am planning on going to see Elton John Friday night at Joe Louis downtown.
Elton John, EJ, he's at Joe Louis this weekend.
Never
That's
heard of
Wow,
right.
him.
big
Right.
venue right there.
Friday night, Joel or Dennis. I'll wave to you across the river.
Okay, I'll wave. I'll wave as well there, Joe. But anyways, back to the markets. We digress once again. I mean, it's easy to digress when we're only up a half a point. It seems like it's a pretty boring day. But man, yesterday, I'll tell you, it looked like a pretty boring day overall, but there was a lot of individual movement yesterday. You take a stock like IBM. It wasn't really any news on it either. It opened down a little bit below fair value. Just looking at the charts here from yesterday, if you can bring it up, Joel. We opened about a buck below fair value, but you get a lot of people caught that are saying, oh, well, that's cheap. It shouldn't open down. The market's up right now. Opens up and just dies. And why does that happen? Because there isn't a lot of liquidity off the hop. So all those traders that were banking on the thing bouncing back were wrong. There isn't the liquidity there, real fundamental players to overcompensate for all the people who were playing the opening. And the thing just caved, and it caved to another 2.5 points. Basically went from 180.20 where it opened straight down to 178 before it did bounce a little bit later on in the morning. But it was pretty scary there if you were a long IBM, I'll tell you that.
You didn't get catch it on the long side
I
then.
actually did, and that's why I know. But believe it or not, it did give you one shot. It gave you one shot. I was like, I got in this thing, and that's what trading is all about too. It's identifying. It's like, oh boy, I'm in trouble here. It's being able to identify when you know you're in trouble here. I already figured out everybody's on the same side as I am, so I need to get the hell out of this in whatever way I can. It went from 180.20 down to 179 in the blink of an eye. I'm telling you, in like 10 seconds. The thing started popping back up. And then the spread, it was so wide. It was 70 cents a spread. I'm not kidding. That's how wide it was right after the open, like 100 shares by 100 shares. And I had, I think, 300 or 400 shares to go. So it wasn't a huge position, but enough when you're looking at a 70-cent spread, one up. So, anyways, it got back up, kissed over 180. There was a 180 bid there, and I actually went to hit them, and I got out, I think, at 180.11 and 180.20 or something on my stock. So I actually only ended up just losing a little bit. And then I watched the cave all the way down to 178. So I got lucky to sneak out of it. But the reason, is that I identified that I was on the wrong side of the trade early, and that's what you need to be. If you're a trader, like a short-term guy, you need to be able to identify when you're in trouble. How do you know when you're in trouble? Simple. You start losing money. That's how you know you're in trouble.
So how do you attack a 70-point spread, 100 up when you got 400 shares on? Do you try
Don't
like
sugar.
in the old days? In the old days, you just try and split it, right, and get done in the middle. Is that what you tried to do?
Yeah, you could try to approach it that way. I usually use a hidden order type. So basically, right away, I don't want to show my limit because when it's 100 up and I'm sitting there with 300 or 400 or 500 shares, and a lot of times I have more shares than that, but I didn't have a ton of stock on this one. I was playing a little conservative because I wasn't 100% sure about it. I don't want to throw out a 300 or 400 share offer because right away that's going to drive the price down. My 400 shares, when there is no liquidity on IBM, it's 70 cents 100 by 100. My 400 share offer makes a huge difference at that time of day. In the middle of the day, when nothing's going on, doesn't make that big a difference. Right off the hop, when there is zero liquidity, your 400, your 100 share offer will make a difference. So you don't want to throw that out there because the high frequency guys will lean on your order. Internalizers, everybody wants to lean on your order. So you don't want to throw your limit out there. So try to use a hidden order type where if you're going to throw a limit out there, don't show it. You mark it hidden, and hopefully your brokerage house has that order type there if they don't switch brokerage houses. But basically, use the hidden order type. Have the order out there, and then if it comes through your price, you'll get it. Or alternative, if you don't have the hidden order type, wait for it to go bid and slam the bid. Wait for it to, because it will eventually, that spread will tighten quickly. You just got to be really quick because it moves fast off the hop.
So you're telling me that IBM that trades 4 to 7 million shares a day, okay, huge float, huge institutional holdings in it, and you're telling me that your 400 shares is going to affect the market?
100%. It will off in the first 5 to 10 minutes of trading all day, every day. There's no liquidity in a stock like that. And a lot of other stocks too, right off the bat. It's still finding its price. So basically, market makers, and all your market makers are mostly high frequency guys now for the most part. They don't want to take risks, so they're not out there right now. They're waiting for the dust to settle after the opening print. The print opens, and they're waiting for it to calm down so that they can provide liquidity when there's lower risk. Their margins are really, really small, so they can't afford to come in and lose a whole pile of money right off the bat. They've got to, wait till the dust settles and there's actually, some other orders to lean on. The high frequency traders always want something else to lean on. So they're not there. Institutions no longer place orders out there. They use algorithms that you use different stuff. So you're left with kind of like a vacuum of liquidity. In the first 3 to 4 minutes on a lot of individual stocks, and especially one like IBM, the spreads can be ridiculously wide. When you're looking at a 50, 60, 70-cent spread, and you throw a 200-300 share order out there to tighten the spread, it totally affects. You see the bid fall a little bit, that'll widen because it's usually an automated market maker just trying to keep a 50, 60-cent spread. So when you offer 20 cents down, they back their bid off 20 cents down a lot of times too. Now, this is all talking about trading in the first 3 to 4 minutes. Different strategies apply at different times of the day. But right after the stocks open, liquidity is very low, and you've got to be really careful with your limit orders because they really affect the price.
Before we move off this chart, there's just a couple just textbook things here that a lot about what we talk about on the show. I would like to just go over real quickly here. First of all, you had the gap down day. This was back in October. I don't know if that was earnings or I think it was earnings. You had the gap down day, and then for a stock like IBM, you had 3 or 4 lows. I mean, I guess a little stretch you can call it a triple bottom there, right around the 173, 174 level. Then you had this crazy rally here, and look where the rally goes all the way up to, Dennis. It exceeds to fill the gap, 184.99. It filled the gap, went a little bit farther, but hey, if you were using 184.99 as a target on the long side, you're sitting pretty right now. Okay, and then it makes like basically a textbook double bottom at a whole number, or a double top. Splitting a whole number, 186.20, 186.24, 185.75. So obviously a seller's ganging up in that area. So you had that move, and then yesterday, maybe one big seller came into the market. You basically, in 3 sessions, have taken back a month and a half move. And now what I'm going to be looking at for IBM here, and it's not a good thing, I'd look at the 50% retracement of this move from 72.63 up to 82.24, and that brings you at 79.44. We did close below that level. If IBM cannot get back here above 174 in the next day or two, you very well could be going back and testing that low of the move at 172.63.
And we did see individual weakness. It was a really funny day yesterday. Like a stock like IBM was weak. Stock like Boeing kind of had the same deal. BA right off the bat, it was weak too. But you were saying, look at chart of General Electric yesterday. Here we were on a day that a lot of stocks were fairly strong. GE opened near the highs of the day and pretty much tanked all day. Closed right near the lows of 26.73 there. So you had like a big reversal day yesterday there in General Electric. And I bet you if you start popping up here and getting close to that $27 area, that area now acts as resistance again, because that was a major area of resistance before. And if you look at this chart pattern, not that we're pattern traders or anything, kind of starting to look a little bit like a head and shoulders there to me.
Right, you do have the close right on the low, 26.73, getting a little follow through here in the pre-market, so perhaps you get a little bit of lower risk short there off the open at that area. Don't see any major support here until you get down under 26.50. You get down to 26.40. You had a low at 26.40 on the 8th, and then also a 45 low on the 6th. So market's hanging in there. SPOOs are hanging in here. If this thing can hold that bid, hold that low right there, boom, you get a chance to rally up. But this chart does not, you could draw a couple lines here, one going across all these lows and then one going off the tops, and got a consolidation pattern here and perhaps a breakout from this consolidation. Right now it's poised to the downside, and then if you look at this longer term here, we are coming back, just climbing our way back to those '08 highs, just just real begrudgingly here with the huge volume, huge institutional trading in this. There's a lot of big offers to chew through here, but looks like GE, as opposed to the rest of the market, is taking a little bit of a breather.
And a couple other interesting chart setups here, just while we're looking at the Big Ten here. Look at Chevron there yesterday. Joel kind of had put in a double top. 124.19 was the high 2 days ago. 124.10 the high yesterday there, and it was a quiet inside day really for Chevron there yesterday. Just had a 90-cent range, which is pretty small for a stock like Chevron. So there's definitely a point in place up there at the 124.10 area. That's the best offer in the pre-market there too. So somebody looking at the same charting pattern that we are. What do you think here? That double top, the foreboding?
Yeah, I mean, definitely take a look at that. 24.10 to 24.19, sneaking over just a whole number by a little bit. You also had a 24.44 high back in September. You get a big run up. You had a 6-7 day run in this issue, and then you get a consolidation. You get a tight range day. This might be one where you want to play it on the long side above 124.20. Or if you get a breakdown through yesterday's low, 123.22, we're traded down a little bit in the pre-market. I don't see anything for about 80 cents in that, getting down to the double bottom from Thursday and Friday, 22.36 to 23.42. So critical level here. I don't like when you have a big run up in something, then you have a quiet day with a tight range. And I don't know how you were playing this one yesterday, Dennis. I know you were leaning a lot on the $96 level. You got some company there yesterday and only got to 95.75.
Which stock? Which stock did you were just talking about?
ExxonMobil.
ExxonMobil. Oh, okay. Because I was looking, I didn't know which stock you were talking about. Yeah, it's got definitely some major resistance forming up here in the high 95 area. Because we put obviously the top. We know there's been a seller up there at the point we talked about them, up there at $96, and it's kissed up to them twice now. We got up to 96 right on the kisser 5 trading sessions ago, and then 2 days ago we got up to 95.95. Yesterday, only got up to 95.75, but we are definitely forming some resistance below 96. The only thing, once they tried 3-4 times off and they do take it out, we saw that with Procter & Gamble, finally did take out its big resistance at $85 there yesterday and started to break out. So once these levels go, they go. But ExxonMobil resistance is resistance until it's broken.
Okay, I know I didn't want you to talk about this stock, but I know you're going to.
You want me to talk about Facebook?
Oh.
Joel had those 46 puts there on the weeklies, and we know what happens. First, let's hear your thoughts on this whole thing as it broke down through that key level finally yesterday, the 45.80, the day after your puts expired. What are your thoughts here?
Well, my thoughts were late on Friday, okay, when I was watching this thing trade, and I thought, wow, they were like really teasing me. It was getting like really close to 46, and I said to myself, well, I could either buy more of the 46s on this week and hope for a whoosh, a 50-cent collapse on the close. Or I could do what I never do and buy the next week's 46 puts. Well, for a nickel price at the time, I couldn't refuse it, so I bought the last Friday's expirations one, immediately spiked to 46.5, and I knew I was dead. And I just wasn't quick enough off the open to catch that, going through that level. I guess I had a little bit of analysis paralysis. But what do you think? What do you think the shenanigans are going on like that, where a stock will hold a critical level like that up to the expiration date, and then the next day, the following Monday, vavoom?
Yeah, well, what happens? You have artificial supply and demand going on from the options. So basically, you got the weekly expiring, and let's take the 46, for example, there. What tends to happen, and probably why you see volatility start to really go down there the last 2 or 3 days before those weeklies expire, because you get these options that have a high open interest, and all of a sudden, it's just the mechanics of the people who are actually owning the options and the market makers who own the option. If you own the option, the put option at 46, gives you the right to sell the stock at 46. If the stock starts going up to, or stock starts going up to 46 and a quarter, or going down. Let's say it first of all just goes down to 45.80. Well, then you're going to be covering the stock. You're going to be buying the stock because you put in the money. So you're basically, taking that money. As it goes back up over that, you're probably selling your stock because the stock is, your 46 is out of the money. So that mechanics between the buyers and the sellers tend to make the price come and converge down to and closer and closer to where that actual strike price is, which is 46. And that's what we saw for 3 days. We just saw basically the stock spiking a little bit below 46. It would rally back up and get above it. Get a little bit above 46, it would sell back off and go back to 46. Once those options expired last week, all of those players are now gone because that option no longer has any right to buy or to sell the stock anymore. So that's where all that artificial supply that was probably holding the stock up is now gone, and it just vacuums and falls down. That's why you often see after a key option expires that's close to a strike, you'll see a move, go obviously, and the stock can cave there, which it did yesterday.
Right, moving on to the analysis for Facebook today. You did get a little bounce off the close, closed at 44.82, trading a little bit in the pre-market. You'll probably get the similar shenanigans going on at the $44 level. Let's see if that's protected during the session early in the week. PDJ popped in with a good question here, Dennis. And as we were discussing the liquidity on IBM at the open, he's asking, if there's a similar issue with the S&Ps at the open. And I know what my answer is on that, but I'll let you start out first.
First of all, obviously the S&P futures are always going to have a little bit more liquidity there. They've obviously traded all night, but it's thicker, it's made up. But when the individual stocks are all chopping around, obviously liquidity in the S&P futures E-mini is made up of those stock prices. So you have people that are arbitragers that basically, will do the index, sell the index against the stocks and basket, trade them all against each other. So when there's crazy little individual, volatility in the individual stocks, it will affect a little bit the E-mini S&P futures, but the E-mini is always a little more stable because it is made up of 500 different stocks.
Well, and also, I mean, and the main point I was going to make on this is that the E-mini is traded on one exchange and one exchange only. So all the liquidity providers, anybody that wants to participate, has to be on that exchange displaying their orders, in the queue. Where IBM, I mean, how many different markets is IBM trading on off the open?
We have 13 different exchanges for your equities. So now 13 different exchanges. We have, I would say, probably 46 dark pools. So basically, off exchange, we have 46 dark pools. And then you have all these internalization, engines or whatever, and basically broker dealers that are trading them, directly against their clients and all that stuff. And there's probably, honestly, a couple hundred probably that do that. So basically, maybe I have 250 different places where IBM could be trading. Obviously, the majority of your trades still do occur on the exchange, but a lot of trades happen off the exchange too. So yeah, liquidity is you could say it's very fragmented on individual equities, where it's not on the E-mini, it's all consolidated onto the CME. So, and I honestly personally prefer that. I like that structure a little bit better. But back in the day, we look back, IBM used to trade 90% of its volume back on the New York Stock Exchange 10 years ago. NYSE went for profit, and they wanted to break up the monopoly of the exchanges, and they did. They broke it up, and now we have this fragmented kind of a mess, to be honest with you, where the stocks trade everywhere. So you throw your bid out there on INET, it might trade on ARC at your price and you don't get it. It's kind of a crappy deal. And that's why it's difficult. Execution and slippage on some of these stocks is probably never been higher than it is now. But some people seem to like this market better because it gives you options too. You can throw out different exchanges, you can do different things, different order types. But I personally prefer the whole CME model where all the liquidity is on one exchange.
And what do you think the percentage now of volume in IBM that's traded on the exchange?
Well, on New York Stock Exchange, I think it's hovering around 15 to 20. So that's the primary exchange. But there's also, ARCA and INA, and they've all got, and as a whole, I believe, well, if you look just off exchange to on exchange, I think the numbers last month were 36 or 37% are off exchange and 63% are on exchange. So a lot of stuff happening. And the off exchange stuff is made up of all those dark pools that we were talking about and all these internalizers and over the counter market makers. That's what the off exchange stuff is. But the on exchange stuff is actually, what we see on the exchanges in those 13 different exchanges like INET and like NASDAQ and like NYSE and like ARCA and Edge and BATS and I'm just going through them here, and then each exchange seems to have like 3 or 4 of their own different types of exchanges too. So now Edge and BATS are merging, so there's going to be 4 that are owned by Edge. So it's kind of just fragmented all over the place. But biggest point here is it's just the liquidity is very fragmented.
Okay, what do we got some other issues to cover today?
Yeah, we've had a few earnings here overnight. Nothing huge, but a couple big movers here. Tiffany's, we were talking about it earlier there. Joe was saying Joel might be shopping there. Well, I don't know if he already did shop there because it is trading up $6 here right now at 86.80, closed at 80.99. Earnings 73 cents versus 58 cents and 911 million versus 889 million. So they blew away the top number, blew away the bottom number, and the stock is off to the races this morning.
Yeah, my girls have plenty of stuff from Tiffany. Stuff that other people bought for them, that's for sure.
You didn't buy it for them? You didn't go in that Tiffany shop and buy it?
Hell no, I don't even know if I've ever been in a Tiffany's. I mean,
Has anybody in the desk been in a Tiffany? I don't think I've ever been.
Or shopped, or how about anybody in the chat room? Does anybody
I've been in there before. If you go around the holidays, the line, I think they put like the checkout at the back of the store, so the line goes all the way through the store and then wraps outside and down the hallway. There's one at Somerset, and it's just a disaster. So you don't even try going.
Actually, I have been to a Tiffany's. When I was growing up back in Monroe, Michigan, there was a Tiffany's Pizza, and I used to go there all the time on dates and stuff. So yeah, I have been to Tiffany's.
Different rewards program, right? A little bit different rewards program at the pizza place, Joel.
Exactly. But what a move for this thing in the pre-market here. Let's just take a look at parameters here. Trading right near the highs of the session. You made an 86.81 high, kind of straight up here. Not a ton of volume here. 16,000 shares have traded, but that cannot negate the importance of this move. Have not traded at these levels in quite a while here. Let's just take a look at even the monthlies. Is this right? The Tiffany? Wow, this is banging on an all-time high for stocks at Tiffany. Yeah. Wow, I just thought this thing was in the dumper like a little bit ago.
Coach has been coming back here too.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of Coach, but
yeah, I think you were thinking of Coach. But Tiffany's, yeah, I think it's. I don't know if this is all-time highs. To be honest with you, I'm going.
It is.
Yep. What about Coors? What's Coors doing?
Michael Kors, KORS. That's pretty much up there at all-time highs too.
Now you see,
just a little bit off.
You see, so like Joe says that, and immediately I'm thinking beer.
You would think beer. You can't even think about it. He's thinking, oh yeah, the Rocky Mountain Way. Remember I used to trade Cruise? It's owned by Molson now, but it used to trade under the symbol RKY, the Rocky Mountain Way. And yeah, not in there anymore. Now it's owned by Molson.
Okay, quick KORS here. I was at the mall yesterday doing a secret shopping mission for Emily, and I did walk by a Michael Kors display, and once again I was amazed that anybody would buy one of these things besides a whole rack of them, but did get a pullback here from the $83 level. That was an all-time high that you had, 83.13. You got your pullback here, 78.63, and now you're looking. You can do the math on that. If you get through that double top, 81.20, 81.26, I think you're going back up to the 83 level.
Couple other ones here that reported Children's Place Retail Stores, which is PLCE. they were leaning the right way on this one. I had a weak day yesterday. It's been kind of weak going into the numbers. They actually beat $1.89 versus $1.84, and 492 million versus 502 million. So actually, they beat on the bottom line, but missed on the top line by about 10 million. The revenue guidance here for full fiscal year, they say they're raising it. Estimates are at 322. They're raising it up to 320 to 328, so it's kind of a raise, I guess, unless they come in at the lower end, which that would be a miss. But this thing's had some major support here, Joel, and it's going to look like it's going to open into that major support. It just ticked to 50.75, so it's been very light volume here. Hard to get a gauge when only 100 shares have traded off to the report. But the low back on the 14th was 50.74, and we just ticked to 50.75. What are your thoughts here on this one?
I mean, that's textbook there. I mean, you take a look at that. Only 100 shares have traded. Someone be trying to, mark, perhaps coming in short, trying to mark their position down to that area. I'd keep an eye
Explain
on
that,
that.
Joel. Explain that marking thing, because we talk about it, quite a bit here. And sometimes, somebody's got a big position in it. Sometimes it's in their better interest, right, to
Right. So let's say, you're a market maker or just a trader in general. You had a feeling on this stock. Going short, going home short, closes off the low of the day. It's weak, 51.88. So, hey, when you get your electronic statement delivered to you, and it closes at 51.88, that's where your position, actually you got the position on. That's where you're marked at. So your margin, your intraday margin, your overnight margin, your carrying charges are going to be based on that. So if you're short 10,000 shares in this and they come out with, so-so earnings, hey, you got a 10,000 share position, you see a 50.75 bid, you whack it, okay? So theoretically, you're up over $10,000 on the position, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to scare people that are long into selling their stock so you can buy it, and maybe the person that, knocked that bid had got the print up at 50.75, might be looking to, bring this in at 50.60 or 50.70. Also, I don't know how much it will play on something like this, a Nasdaq stock, but perhaps there's stops at that 50.75 level, 50.74 level that could push it down. So just trying to goose your position a little bit, and then also see what other players are out there.
Yeah, and this stuff definitely happens, and we don't suggest for any of you traders out there to do this kind of stuff, because you got to watch, because it can be, considered, some of the stuff can be considered, if you were, looked at by the regulators or anything, some of the stuff could be considered to be manipulative. They'd have a hard time saying, though. You just say, obviously you wanted to do more, but the stuff still goes on. I mean, people do this all the time. If you had, like you said, 10,000 shares short of the thing, people, oh, there's no shares traded here. Well, I'm going to make my opinion state. I think it's going down, and I'm going to sell at a point down, and that's what they do. And obviously, and it obviously does show that you're up, that $10,000 immediately there on the thing, and it's actually trying to scare a few people there. So this stuff does go on, especially on lightly traded stocks. On stuff that's really thick, you got a Facebook or something, it's kind of pointless to try to mark that, because the thing's going to trade like crazy. But on something that is not trading after an earnings report, I think this stuff, I totally agree with you, Joel. I think that totally goes on, and market makers will definitely do that. So that's why, we say you can't put a lot of weight into 100 shares, but, obviously it's, trying to scare a few people there.
What is the spread now?
It's 50-50 to 51.99, so it's a buck and a half spread. So yeah, that 50.75 makes it totally look like, oh, this doesn't look good. It's trading down a buck here right now. It's showing up on my screen down at $1.13, down 2.18%, showing up on everybody else's screen. And the first thing you look at is like, oh, place must not did very good on the earnings. So it can almost be like deriving price from that price. So as opposed to looking at the earnings report to derive the price, sometimes you just like price to derive the where you think it's going to happen. So yeah, that 100 shares totally, affects, your whole thought process when you're just approaching trading the issue today. So,
and the fact that it didn't go bid right there again. I mean, if it, if someone, like right now, let's say someone went, 50-70 bid for 5,000. Okay, then that, then someone's really showing some size near a level, and you have to respect it. Now they got hit on the 50-74 bid. Yeah. Now they're backing off to see how desperate someone is.
Men's Warehouse too. We've got that stock trading up pretty significantly here. I'm going to just go grab, what is the news on Men's Warehouse? They are going to be acquired by Joseph A. Banks. Is that right? That was rumored before. I think that is right. It's saying MW proposes to. Oh no, they're acquiring Joseph A. Bank.
Turning
So
the
this is a.
tables on you, Dennis. What do you think
Yeah,
about
they
that?
are. Yeah, Joseph A. Bank. So G, what's JOSB getting acquired for $55. Interesting. JOSB is trading at 56.10 right now, so it's trading $1.10 over what MW was just saying that they are pronouncing to acquire the stock. This has just been breaking. Well, it just broke out at the beginning of the show actually, so we
Yeah,
missed it.
right around
Is
8
anybody
o'clock.
else? Did you dive into this report there yet, Brent?
Not a ton. Been pretty busy, but you can see Joseph A. Banks trading up about 12%. Men's Warehouse not up quite as much. So
Just trying to
favoring the
see.
Joseph A. Banks side of thing a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like a cash deal here on the table for Joseph A. Banks. 50. So here's slow Tuesday. We got a merger though. But $55 is the takeout price that MW is proposing to JOSB. But it is trading above that right now, so they must be thinking something. They're going to get a little bit more maybe. 56.24. But both stocks are trading up pretty good here. MW is trading up $3.50 on here, and JOSB trading up $6 here. So they must like the synergies.
It's just I'm totally confused by this because I thought the merger was going the other way, but the fact that it's
That's because
trading,
I said it. I had it backwards.
no. But
Oh.
wasn't Josie Banks going after men's?
I thought somebody was going
Yep.
after Men's Warehouse
Yeah.
for a while, so they reversed.
Joseph A. Bank was.
Well, that's where I'm getting confused here, because yeah, that was rumored before that Men's Warehouse might get acquired here, and then it's going the other way. So
It
they're
was.
turning
I
around.
mean, they were in thick talks. I mean, it was definitely more than a rumor.
Well, it looks like they might join up together here, but stocks both trading higher, so they're liking it, Joel.
Reverse merger, I guess.
Isn't that like Kmart and Sears or Porsche and Volkswagen, where the merger was proposed to go a certain way and then it wound up running back the other way, and Volkswagen, took over Porsche instead of Porsche taking over Volkswagen?
Joe dropping some knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know actually if that was the case or not, but I'll
And-
trust you on that one, Joe.
And then I think it was Sears was supposed to take over Kmart, but then it went the other way, or maybe I have that mixed up. But basically the same thing here with Joseph A. Banks. Yeah, everyone was rumored that it would go a certain way, and then when the news finally came out, tables turned. Even like with Chrysler and Daimler as well.
Strange happenings on turnaround Tuesday here.
Either way, they're liking it. I can't argue with price. Price is good on both of these stocks. Men's Warehouse up $3.50 now on 300,000 shares. Joseph A. Bank up $5.85 right now, and they have traded a cool 233,000 shares. So these two stocks are definitely trading together here. Not sure, why Joseph A. Banks, if the price is 55, is trading at 56.62 right now, but I'm sure we'll find out eventually why. Anyways, so that's your little merger there. Those two stocks trading higher. We did have a couple other earnings to just talk about. Cracker Barrel, CBRL. Here's one. I always enjoy Cracker Barrel. That thing made a new all-time high yesterday too. Here, wow, that's $118 stock now. I looked at that stock last year. It was like $55 or $60. 118. Wow, that's had an awesome year here. $1.22 versus $1.15, so they beat on the bottom, beat on the top two, 649 versus 646 million. Stock has not traded a share yet, though. 118.12 it closed at, offered at 118.14, so nobody's sniffing him. So maybe this thing's gonna open down. Best bid's down at 117.
Not a big gravy and biscuits kind of fan. I'm a big breakfast fan, but I'm not a big gravy and biscuit fan. But obviously, a lot of other people are here. The stock hit a new all-time high yesterday, 118.63. So with no trades in the pre-market, you can use that as a potential resistance point. Just want to alert our traders here on the downside here. Yesterday's low was 117.14. Below that level, things open up for at least a buck down to 116. But this looks like a stock that's almost like a trade by appointment only. Trades a couple 100,000 shares a day. So if you got a big position and you're looking to liquidate it, perhaps use some scales or whatever, because this is a really. I mean, there was even a couple days back in the beginning of November where this traded under 100,000 shares.
Yeah, it's tight. Low liquidity there probably as well. Hormel Foods, HRL, popping a bit on their earnings report. 58 cents versus 54 cents. Revenue in line, 2.3 billion versus 2.3 billion. It is trading up here at 43.89. It just ticked up to, closed at 42.44. This is a real interesting chart here. I'm looking at August. It just got topped out just under 44 bucks. Back in September, we got up to 44.22. Back in October, we got up to 44.22. Then 4 days ago, we got up to 44.16. So I think we can see resistance very well defined just above the $44 level. We've ticked up to 43.90 in the pre-market, about 30 cents off that resistance area, but looks like it could open into resistance there, Joel.
This is kind of interesting. This is kind of a little bit of a divergence from some of the other food stocks. Campbell's Soup, poor earnings. Kellogg's didn't really knock it out of the park, so you could see over the last few weeks or so that they hit this.
Tyson's been hot though.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I guess people are eating spam and chicken. Seems
Canned
to,
foods.
yeah, canned foods. But really got to respect that $44 level. When you see multiple tops over there, over the last couple months at this area, I'd just be keeping an eye on that as resistance. You're getting a big pop up here. Not a lot of volume, so be interesting if it can actually get to that $44 level and get any kind of follow through. But just looking at the chart here on the daily, you got to respect that as major resistance.
And check out that Tyson chart too, because we've been straight up obviously since they reported, and it's come right into the level that it struggled at back in August. This whole $32 level, it kissed it yesterday, touched 31.95. There is some institution with 35,000 shares selling at the point at 32, so that is backing up what we saw in August, where it made multiple highs just under 32 and did take out 32, but 32 looks big for that stock, TSN.
Right, I believe that is an all-time high there. That
Close to it, yeah.
Close to it. 31.95 is the high in the pre-market. That level that you're talking about back in what was that? Back in August, 32.10, 32.40 were a couple highs here. Kind of getting a little bit of a running start in it. You're up 32 cents in the pre-market, but a couple big levels for Tyson Foods as well.
WDAY, one of your big winners of the day here. Workday, it's trading up here $6 right now at 79.55. They lost 12 cents. We're supposed to lose 17 cents, so I guess that's good. 127 million versus 117 million, so the revenue came and beat. They're raising their Q4 sales up to 133 to 138 from 129. Not these companies, they all come out and they raise guidance. Oh, we're gonna maybe be 3 million higher, so they're all excited to say, yeah, we're raising the guidance because they know it'll pop the stock. And here it is, Workday WDAY trading up $6.
Was even much higher in the session. Traded up over $82. Well, actually got to 82 right on the kisser. Since pulling back from 82, you have been finding minor support right around the 79.50, 79.30 level. So if you're playing this from the long side or looking to protect some profits, that 79.30 area will be very important. This is a recent high for the stock. Still have some ways to go here. A high around 80 back in October, 79.78, but above that 79.78 level, not a lot between 80 and 82.
S&P futures just hanging out. We basically haven't moved since we started the show. We're up 0.75. It's probably going to be a pretty quiet day. Obviously, we got the shortened week this week. Everybody's, maybe taking a little bit extra time here and taking it easy. So wouldn't surprise me if we do have an inside day. But what are your thoughts here for today?
We're just hanging out, unchanged here. I mean, it has been a familiar scenario here where we hold the pre-market low or the previous day's low. In this scenario, you have an 1801 pre-market low. Buffeted by yesterday's low at 1798.50. And just to illustrate this from yesterday's trading, We had the pre-market high at 09 and a quarter. Couldn't get there during the regular session. Actually missed it by a few points. Got to 06.75, and then you just had a real stubborn sell-off. So the way that overnight high worked yesterday, I'm looking to see this on the downside work again, hold in between 1298.50 and 1801, and then perhaps get a challenge. We haven't had a new all-time. Well, we did have a new all-time high and all-time close again yesterday. So let's see if the song remains the same.
Do we got Jeff kicking around here?
No,
today,
no, Jeff Goldman of JC Trading is going to be on Friday here. We're gonna.
Friday now.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Little change in schedule. So we are going to just bump things over here to Mighty Joe Young with some headlines.
That's right. We're bumping Jeff down to Friday, and we've got Bob Byrne on tomorrow from Retro Wall Street. Bob was on the show previously. He's willing to come back on again since we have sort of a light interview schedule this week. Moving on to today's headlines, 4 school employees, including the superintendent and assistant football coach, were indicted by a grand jury investigating a possible cover-up in the Steubenville rape case. The charges were announced Monday by the state's top prosecutor, who decreed blurred, stretched, and distorted boundaries of right and wrong by students and grown-ups alike. How do you hold kids accountable if you don't hold the accounts accountable? Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine said. Superintendent Michael McVeigh was charged with tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice in the aftermath of the incident at the center of the case, the sexual assault of a 16-year-old drunken girl by 2 high school football players after a booze-filled party in 2012. Chrysler Group announced late Monday that it will trade its stock on the New York Stock Exchange under the CGC Charlie Gamma Charlie symbol, but said it will delay the offering until early 2014. Chrysler will convert to a Delaware corporation when it launches the IPO. The company did not disclose the planned stock price range. Google has announced that Android 4.4, known as KitKat, is being delivered to Google Play Edition handsets from Tuesday, just days after Moto X owners in the US began getting their OS upgrades. 11 days after HTC handed off its KitKat code to Google for the HTC One Google Play Edition, owners of the device should start to see the update coming through via the Google Play Store from today, according to a Google Plus post from the Android team. The Samsung Galaxy S4 Google Play Edition should also receive the update shortly. A BBC investigation into a UK-based Amazon warehouse has found conditions that a stress expert said could cause mental and physical illness. Professor Michael Marmot was shown secret filming of night shifts involving up to 11 miles of walking, where an undercover worker was expected to collect orders every 33 seconds. It comes as the company employs 15,000 extra staff to cater for Christmas and the other holidays this season, Shubs. We have to be PC about the holiday season. Amazon said in a statement, worker safety was its number one priority. Undercover reporter Adam Littler got an agency job at Amazon's Swansea warehouse. He took a hidden camera inside for BBC Panorama to record what happened on his shifts. J.J. Herschel, who joined from Google in October, is Twitter's first executive responsible for targeting retailers to advertise on the microblogging service, which is especially important during the most lucrative shopping season of the year. So far, the 40-year-old has held meetings with Best Buy, Target, and other potential clients, pitching Twitter as a platform for product marketing. Herschel's mission is urgent. Twitter lags behind Facebook in dollars flowing from retailers who are the biggest digital advertising spenders and are critical for the San Francisco-based company to win over following its blockbuster IPO. Retailer outlays on digital ads, which make up 22% of total spending in 2012, are projected to swell to $13.5 billion by 2017, up from $9.4 billion in 2013, according to researcher eMarketer. Apple posted a job listing on its website looking for a payment software engineer that will help build a next-generation payment platform. Apple says the payment system will consist of integration of payment devices, middleware, and acquirers that will push the boundaries in new markets for Apple retail. Apple is interested in experts in e-commerce, banking, retail, and card industries and lists various payment technologies. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has warned 23andMe Incorporated, a company backed by Google, to halt sales of its genetic testing services because they have not received regulatory clearance. 23andMe, which was founded in 2006 by Ann, I'm going to butcher this one bad, Ann Wojcicki, with the backing of Google, sells DNA testing services that the company says detect a range of genetic mutations and provide information about a person's health risks. Wojcicki recently separated from her husband, Sergey Brin, a co-founder of Google. In a warning letter dated November 22nd and released this past Monday, the FDA said it considers the company's product a medical device that therefore requires regulatory clearance, as FDA has explained on numerous occasions. NASDAQ OMX Group senior executive Eric Null once considered a likely successor to the exchange's operator's chief executive, quit to take the top position at a brokerage firm. Mr. Null said he would become chief executive of Convergix Group, a broker for institutional traders and money managers. The move surprised many industry experts, most of whom had anticipated that Mr. Null would stay at NASDAQ until current chief executive Robert Griefield retired. But Mr. Griefield has shown no signs of leaving. His current contract, signed last year, lasts until 2017. Under direction from its board, NASDAQ had been working on an executive succession plan for 2 years, although no details have been made public. Bloomberg reported that Intel is asking about $500 million for OnQ, the online pay TV service that the world's largest chip maker developed before dialing back its ambitions, according to people with knowledge of the process. Intel is seeking to secure a sale by year-end, said the people who asked not to be identified because the talks are private. One suitor, Verizon Communications, has begun talking with owners of broadcast and cable channels about terms for a streaming TV service. Citing anonymous resources, the publication says that Verizon has begun talking with executives from broadcast and cable channels to ascertain the terms of potential contracts for a streaming television service. And on this day, today's trivia tidbit, in 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, FDR, signs a bill officially establishing the fourth Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day. The tradition of celebrating the holiday on Thursday dates back to the early history of the Plymouth and Massachusetts Bay colonies, when post-harvest holidays were celebrated on the weekday regularly set aside as Lecture Day, a midweek church meeting where topical sermons were presented. A famous Thanksgiving observance occurred in the autumn of 1621, when Plymouth Governor William Bradford invited local Indians to join the Pilgrims in a 3-day festival held in gratitude for the bounty of the season. In 1789, George Washington became the first president to proclaim a Thanksgiving holiday when, at the request of Congress, he proclaimed November 26th, a Tuesday, as a day of national thanksgiving for the U.S. Constitution. However, it was not until 1863, when President Lincoln declared Thanksgiving to fall on the last Thursday of November, that the modern holiday was celebrated nationally. And per a conversation that we were having before the show started about the classic Mr. Ed, if anyone out there was wondering how they made the horse's lips move to make it seem like he was talking, it was due to peanut butter. They put peanut butter inside of his mouth that made his lips move so much that made it look like the horse was actually talking. Sorry to take the wind out of your sails, Brent, but animals cannot talk.
You know what my favorite Mr. Ed episode was?
Oh, please tell us, Joel. We're dying to know.
Well, Mr. Ed was friends with all the horses at the track, and there was a race, and Mr. Ed knew who was going to win the race because there was one horse's birthday, and all the other horses were going to let him win. And so I think it goes Mr. Ed wanted Wilbur to bet a lot of money on the horse, and I don't think he did.
If only we had that advantage at horse racing now. Oh, man. We could go to the Northville Downs, find a horse that's having a birthday, put all our money on him. And a note about our sponsors before we hand it over to Snaky Jake here. This show would not be possible without our dear, dear friends at OptionsHouse, who will provide 150 commission-free trades if you click on the banner at the top of the page right over the chat. So go ahead and check it out, get an account, get 150 free trades, and enjoy your trading. And with that, we're going to pass it over to Snaky Jake.
Shaky
Thank you,
Jake,
Andrew.
Shaky Jake.
Jake the Shaky Snake.
You guys can debate it out there what my nickname is, but I will get you guys out there the movers on today's market. One we have moving to the upside this morning is actually Workday Whiskey Delta Alpha Yankee. Shares currently moving to the upside right now. We saw a close yesterday of just a little bit above $72. This morning it is on the rise, though. I saw a high of $82. Now we're seeing a most recent trade. What does that look like? 79.30 there on Workday. Company did report earnings after the close yesterday, beating analyst estimates with a loss of 12 cents a share. Analysts were looking for a loss of 17 cents a share. Revenues came in at 127.9 million versus expected 117.68 million. Joel, this is one that it IPO'd about a year ago. What was it about? I think it's about $40. Rallied as high as 84. I've seen 84.42, and now it's been coming back ever since. What do you think of this one, Joel?
Well, first of all, and I know Dennis gets upset. I'm not really sure what they do here. Is that like the Woman's Magazine or something like that?
No, I believe it's. I can get the exact name. I believe it has content management. And I'll hop in though.
Taking a look at the issue, you did get a spike in the pre-market up to the $82 level, smack right on the kisser, hit 82. Got a pull back here to 79.30 and just kind of sitting here. Pre-market support right in this area down to 79. So if you're playing this off the hop here, you get back up below 79 here. You have a lot of air to get into yesterday's range because your high is way down at 75.20. Identifying some longer term resistance above that crazy 82 print, and just for your information, 81.89 was the high on October 25th, but I'm looking just below this $80 level. You had a high on the 28th at 79.78. You had exceeded that. 80 is a nice whole number here, so I expect some resistance to be coming in at the $80 level ahead of the pre-market high of 82 even.
Do have a couple of others moving this morning, including J.C. Penney. Yesterday, we had a filing from the company's CEO, Mike Ullman. He had bought 112,000 shares of the company. That caused a big spike after hours yesterday. Seeing high after the close yesterday of 9.59, following a close of 9.17. Last trade I'm seeing is at 9.45. Joel, we've had actually a nice melt up here in J.C. Penney, and looks like this insider buy is getting some traders a little bit bullish as it gets closer and closer to the is that $10 level. Joel, what are you thinking here? Obviously, JCPenney's been kicked around all over the place, and it's definitely a huge battleground. But is there anything technical on this one?
Of course there is. Of course there is, Jake. First of all, and let's just go back here in our memory bank. There was some negative news on J.C. Penney yesterday. I believe it was getting kicked out of the S&P 500, or it was something as far as it being taken out of the index, and they took that opportunity to whack it in the pre-market. They took it down to 855. But in the regular session, it only traded 7 cents below Friday's low, 882, got to 875, and then got a nice rebound here. The news by Mr. Allman is that Greg Allman, or is that
It would be Mike
Unfortunately,
Ullman.
no.
ULLM.
Oh, okay.
That's the U.
Okay. And then we got the pop up to 935. Let's checking out the pre-market trading here. We got a spike when the news initially came out to 959. But what all you J.C. Penney longs have to worry about is 963, and that was the high on earnings day. We hit that early in the session, pulled back. 963 is the number. You also had a high in that area at 967. You clear that level, you'll be going to the $10 level, and then once it gets above $10, things really open up on the upside. So I don't know if Brian Sazi's listening to me. He might be get upset with me here, getting a little bit bullish J.C. Penney. But I mean, it just depends on the shopping season, the holiday season. I just like to check with any of our listeners out there, Howard or Joanne or DC. Are any of you guys going to do holiday shopping at J.C. Penney?
We'll have to wait on that one. I don't know if anybody's actually going to hop in on that. To be quite honest, I just who buys things from J.C. Penney these days, Joel? I mean, I haven't been to a J.C. Penney in like 6 years.
6 years. I got a good J.C. Penney story for you.
Oh man,
Let's see. Dana is 21 and Emily is 18. When Dana was 5 and Emily was 2, we got some photographs taken there. That's the last time I made a purchase at J.C. Penney.
wow. Yeah, I don't even know where one is anymore. There used to be that one in like downtown Birmingham by us, but I have no idea where there's even J.C. Penney anymore. So, yeah, definitely not really a brand that's been breaking into my generation. I'll tell you that.
You mean aside from being at every mall in the state of Michigan?
Is it at Oakland Mall?
Well, actually, I haven't been to Oakland in a long time. I was at 12 Oaks last weekend. I know it's there. I'm pretty sure it's at Somerset, but I'm actually afraid of that place.
It's definitely not at Somerset. I can tell you that.
Oh no, it's not. It's not high enough caliber for
No,
Somerset.
they wouldn't let J.C. Penney in there.
Do they even discount anything at Somerset? Do they have anything on clearance there? Because I don't
Yeah,
know.
they mark it down to a 3x markup rather than a 6x markup.
Oh, right. Well, I was wondering, like if they ever have a sale at Barney's, I would go to that. Maybe I could get a $400 sweater for $395.
You know what? You might be able to. That sounds like a great deal there.
The that Somerset Mall is one of the highest grossing per square foot malls like in the country. Believe it or not, here in Detroit. So if you're coming to the Detroit area and you want to spend some money, Somerset Mall is the place for you.
I
There's
think it's
also Michigan's only Microsoft store is there. You only get a kiosk if you go anywhere else.
wow. Fun fact Tuesday.
And
Well,
and
synthetic Wednesday. I'm
the
sorry.
Microsoft store opening in Somerset was one of 2 that Steve Ballmer actually attended out of 17. No, maybe it's more than that. I don't know how many Microsoft store locations there are.
You
Well,
know, we got to get geared up for this Black Friday stuff. So we got to start talking more retail here. That's what we're doing. Retail shopping is going to be the theme for the next couple days.
Well, I mean, if we want to talk retail, we did have Tiffany's reporting earnings this morning. EPS came in at 73 cents versus a 58-cent estimate. Revenues beaten expectations as well. 911.5 million versus expected 889.38 million. So Tiffany's beating on the top and bottom line. The company also raised its guidance. Company's just been killing it. If you look at the last 4 reports, it's beat on the bottom line on every single report. It's now beating on the top line as well. Bumped up its guidance both in August and now. Caught up an upgrade in October, but ever since then, the analysts really haven't weighed in. But Tiffany's has been on quite a run here. It's Tango India Foxtrot. If you want to pull up the chart and take a look at it with us, closed yesterday at 80.76, so right above that $80 level. Hit a high in the pre-market of 86.88. Last trade I'm seeing is at 86.01. Joel, what do you think of this one? I mean, it's been on a pretty nice rally recently.
Yeah, I mean, we are blowing away the all-time high in the issue here. Just let me confirm that with looking at the longer-term charts. Yeah, 84.88 was that former all-time high. So playing it to the long side, you got the pre-market high, still a little bit of ways up there at 86.88. Finding some minor support, and I call it minor, at the $86 level. Below that, you could get a drop down to that 84.88, and then boy, you got a ways to go to get into yesterday's range with the 81.55 high.
Keeping the theme with some of those upper end retailers, I'm going to hop over to Movado. That's Mike, Oscar, Victor. Company also reported earnings this morning, but wasn't quite as hot as JCPenney's report. Reporting adjusted EPS figure of 67 cents when the street was looking for 87 cents. Revenues did beat, though, however, came in at 189.7 million. If it's expected 184.35 million. Company bumped up its revenue guidance, which looks to be helping it out a little bit. Going to pull up the chart there real quick. Not a whole lot of action in the pre-market this morning. We did have a couple of bids higher. It is now below yesterday's close. Yesterday looks like closed was at around 46.41. Bid as high as a little bit above the $47 level. Last trade I'm seeing is at 46.25. Joel, this one's been all over the place. It just basically just chop over the last 20, 30 sessions or so. I mean, just no, it doesn't seem like there's really a trend going anywhere here. What do you think of this one?
Well, I was looking for a new watch and I almost bought a Movado, but decided not to. Went with the Swiss Army. But looking at this stock here, it had that spike up to 47.99 yesterday. I don't know why. Closed the week, closed just off the low of the day, so I like that. 46.38, 46.42. I like two numbers right next to each other like that. Adds further significance. Also had a little bit higher of a volume day in that yesterday, even though it doesn't trade a lot of volume, close to 400,000. Looking at this whole, I mean, you could call 45.80 like this major support, but it's traded 45.73, 45.76. You had a few spike lows, a little bit below that. Let's call it 45 and a half. 45 and a half, you break out of this long-term consolidation here, and you could be, heading back down to the $44 level. Coming back on the upside here, no major numbers until you get up to 47.99. But with the week close, trading down in the pre-market, I think offers, unless this thing could turn around and rip right off the open, maybe a whole number like 47 start attracting some offers.
Hopping over to some of the other companies reporting earnings this morning include Hormel Foods. That's Hotel Romeo Lima reported its fourth quarter results. EPS came in at 58 cents, which expected 54 cents, while revenues came in exactly in line at 2.3 billion. Gonna pull up that chart for everybody here. Stock closed yesterday just below 42.50. Looks like the close is about 42.43. Saw a high of $44 this morning. It is very thin volume. Last trade I'm seeing is at 43.80. It's been on a little bit of a downtrend recently. Joel, any thoughts on this one? I mean, over the last year, it's been doing pretty well, but it looks like it's kind of off those highs. Not sure if you're seeing any trend running on Hormel Foods here. It's Hotel Romeo Lima.
The makers of Spam, they kind of got dragged down a little bit by the earnings from the other companies, the other food companies, but now it's coming out with its own fundamental news. I'm just looking at this whole $44 level. You've had a couple spikes over 44, 44.15, a little bit higher, 44.22, and then go back again, 44.17. So someone's been targeting that whole 44 to 44.20 area. You are opening up into that on fairly light volume. So let's just keep an eye on that. Above 44, it holds that within the first 15 minutes of trading. Then you're in breakout mode.
Another one I wanted to take a look at the reported earnings this morning is JA Solar Holdings. Solar companies are always ones we want to take a look at because when one reports, they often follow as a group. JA Solar reported a third quarter loss of 37 cents a share. That's slightly worse than expected. Street was looking for a loss of 36 cents a share. Revenues came in at 287.3 million versus expected 260.63 million. Going to pull that up over on the chart. The ticker there is Juliet Alpha Sandy Oscar. Shares closed around 1061 yesterday. Have been pretty spotty both in the post market yesterday and this morning. Saw a low of 983 following the report. Last trade I'm seeing is at 998. Looks like traders may be interested in testing that $10 level. Joel, this chart, if you look at the last, say, 10 sessions, looks kind of bearish to me. I don't know what you're thinking here, but I mean, we had a low a year ago of 303, hit a high of 1280 recently. It's been doing pretty well. This report, a little bit of a miss. What are you thinking here?
Since making that 980 low here, someone's been trying to wiggle out of some stock at 10, 10, 10, 11 area. So if you're looking at, short this, looking for a resistance point, you do have that as a minor resistance point. You are trending down here. Had some lows around the $10 level back in November. We are taking that, so that's going to be key. Got to get back above hold 10. If you can't do that, you could be looking at a 960 trade. That's below the pre-market low at 983. 960 was the low on November 1st. And then below that, you get into some major support at the triple bottom at the 920 to 922 level.
Another stock I want to go into is Nuance. Company caught a upgrade this morning or a downgrade to neutral while dropping its price target to $15. It was over at Wedbush. Company did report earnings after the close yesterday. EPS coming in at 30 cents versus the 29-cent estimate, while revenues came in at 472.2 million versus expected 489.56 million. So you got a miss on the top line and a slight beat on the bottom line. Company did report some fiscal year 2014 EPS guidance in a range of $1.05 to $1.15. Street was looking for $1.41 there, so pretty bad guidance there on the bottom line for the fiscal year of 2014. They also guided sales between 2.03 billion and 2.09 billion. Street is looking for 2.08 billion, so that's putting Street estimates at the top end there. Nuance was getting hit pretty hard early this morning. It looks like it's staying down there. Closed around $15.99 yesterday, right around that $16 level. Has been falling ever since after its report after the close yesterday. See a pre-market low of 14.56. Most recent trade of 14.71, as it looks like it's kind of flattening out now. Nuance really taking a hit on this. It's been a rough year for them as a whole. We saw a high, a couple, was that 8 months back of 24.85, so it's pretty far off those highs now. Joel, you got anything here? I mean, looking at the last 20 sessions, it's pretty calm, but this report's really been just kicking them around.
Isn't this one of Mr. Icon's holdings?
Indeed, it is.
Yeah. This one, it must be one of his short holdings because it's going down.
You would think so.
No, it's interesting. I mean, I guess no one's perfect here, and here's a scenario where probably the spikes that you've seen up over the last few trading sessions have been, attributed. Has there been any spikes up? Maybe to a disclosure of his position, but you're inflicting some real technical damage here in the issue that making that pre-market low. You got to go back to August now of 2010, and back in August and September and November of 2010, multiple lows here at the 1450 area. That's just a little bit below the pre-market low, so Mr. Icon may be targeting that 1450 level here to put more of his position on here. If it doesn't get a pop right off the open here, get back above 15 here, I could look to see us trade at that 1450 level.
One last thing I want to take a look at before I hand this over to Brent is DSW. That's Discount Shoe Warehouse, another kind of a discount retailer here. While we saw Tiffany's blow it out of the water this morning, we're seeing a lot of retailers kind of hurting, and DSW is showing us that this morning with its earnings. Company pull up the report there for you guys real quick. Company reported EPS of 58 cents, which was right in line, while revenue came in a bit thin at 633 million versus expected 647.59 million. That's Delta Sandy Whiskey. Company guided for the fiscal year of 2013 an EPS range of $1.80 to $1.90. Street was looking for $1.90, so that's putting Street estimates at the top end of its range. So that's a little bit of a bearish sign there. We saw a close yesterday of a little bit below $48 because it was 47.17 or so. Popped up after the close yesterday to a high of $48. This morning, I'm seeing a low of 42.38. Last trade of $44. Joel, this one's been on a nice rally. If I'm looking at the last 20 or 30 sessions or so it's been a pretty calm rally up from $30. What do you think here? Because this report's not so hot. It's down 4 points here. What are you thinking?
Do you ever go into one of those places? You know, you
I
go in.
do. I went to one like a year or two ago. It was kind of weird. It was the place is just they're huge. They have a ton of different shoes, but it takes a while to find anything. There's one just down the street from us here. It's over on Telegraph and 12.
Yeah, what I find is, there's never the same pair of shoes in a box. I'm looking for like a 10.5 or 11 or whatever, and I finally find it, and then they're just, people just throw stuff in there. So that's why I don't like it. But I don't like shopping in general. Just taking a look pre-market, you are actually rallying this thing from 42.38. You rallied almost two sticks here up to 44.22. Getting a little bit resistance here, so this will be interesting if in fact it can continue this pre-market rally. I know it's hard to think of a rally when it's still down 322, but that's what the chart's saying. The charts don't lie. I think now with being $2 off the low here, now as you cascade, but if you do sell off again, you're going to start finding support ahead of that level. I had a couple lows at the 43.08 level. That was back in end of October, 43.08 and 43.14. So with the rally off the 42.38 level, I'm now going to move the resistance up from the pre-market level up to the $43 level.
Alrighty, well that takes care of a lot of the pre-market movers. I think I'm gonna pass it over to Brent if he's ready to rock and roll. Give us a morning analyst ratings update. I know that we don't have as much news this week, so analyst ratings do end up being pretty key. Brent, you ready to rock and roll?
Yep, and that's a good point, Jake. Keeping with the retail theme, just like to point out that there was just a Moody's report that came out 5 minutes ago. They said they expect to see U.S. holiday sales. Let me find my headline here. Expect to see U.S. holiday sales growth improving as consumers release pent up demand. I haven't dug a ton into this report yet, but they are placing their growth forecast for the holiday season, which is November and December, in the range of 4.5 to 5.5%. Not quite sure how that stacks up versus analysts right now. Like I said, I'm going to have to dig into this one a little bit more. But let me hit you with some of the top upgrades, downgrades, new coverages for the session. We did have Morgan Stanley making a call on some of the gold miners. Agnico Eagle Mines AEM upgraded from equal weight to overweight. I will get to the downgrades that Morgan Stanley did when I get to that section. Agnico was the only gold miner that Morgan Stanley upgraded this morning. Shares of Forest Labs getting an upgrade from Piper Jaffray, moving the rating from an underweight, which is the equivalent of a sell, to a neutral rating. Goldman Sachs upgrading Huntsman Hotel Uniform November from neutral to buy. And Citigroup upgrading shares of Autoliv Alpha Lima Victor from sell to neutral. Some of the top downgrades: Goldman Sachs downgrading shares of Freeport McMoran, ticker Foxtrot Charlie X-ray, from buy to neutral, but raising that price target from $36 to $37. Nuance Communications shares getting a downgrade from Wedbush following earnings last night. Wedbush now rating Nuance with a neutral rating. Capital One South Coast downgrading shares of Transocean from add to neutral. Goldman Sachs downgrading shares of the Fresh Market from buy to neutral. Goldman also downgrading shares of AutoZone Alpha Zulu Oscar from buy to neutral. And now getting back to those Morgan Stanley calls, firm downgrading both Kinross Gold and Eldorado Gold from overweight to neutral, and downgrading shares of IM Gold, India Alpha Golf, from equal weight to underweight. That is a big sell rating that Morgan Stanley slapped on IM Gold. Couple of top new coverages from this morning. We did have a number of firms initiating coverage on shares of the Container Store, that is ticker Tango Charlie Sandy. A lockup finishing there. Let's see, we have Credit Suisse with an outperform rating on the Container Store, Bank of America with a buy rating, JP Morgan with an overweight rating, and then we have the hold or the equivalent at each respective firm at Jefferies, Wells Fargo, Guggenheim, and Barclays. So it looks like analysts are sitting a bit more on the sidelines on the Container Store. A couple bulls in there, but for the most part, either a hold, neutral, or equal weight rating. Couple of quick previews we have for the rest of the week and for today. Earnings after the close today: Analog Devices, AeroVironment, TiVo, Tilly's, and the big one after the close today, we will get a report from Hewlett Packard Hotel, Papa, Quebec. Econ, we did have a couple of economic data points that were out already this morning. We did have building permits. We also did have S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Let's see, building permits a little better than expected. S&P Case-Shiller a little better than expected. We also had the house price index, which was just out for the Q3. That was a little worse than expected at 1.96% growth. Economists were looking for around a reading of 2% growth. I'm expecting some of these home builders to be volatile as per the economic data points, all focusing on housing today. XHB is a ticker there. Watch that ETF today. Later at 10 a.m. this morning, we will get Consumer Confidence Index for November. Also get a reading on manufacturing activity in the Richmond Fed region. Then tomorrow, we're going to get our initial jobless claims. That is going to be one day early. Initial jobless claims normally coming out on Thursday. That's not going to happen this week, so they bumped it up to Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Also, we'll get durable goods orders tomorrow. That will be for the month of October. Chicago Purchasing Managers Index, that will be out at 9:45 tomorrow, and then just 10 minutes after, we'll also get another consumer confidence reading, this one from the University of Michigan. And then we're going to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner with the family, with the Benzinga family. Maybe invite the OptionsHouse family over for a little dark meat. I think we're going to save all the white meat for Benzinga, but OptionsHouse, you're more than welcome to our leftover dark meat.
We're going to need a bigger table if all the Options House people come. And think of all the toast that they're going to give. Oof, it'll be the longest Thanksgiving dinner ever.
Well, we got to do what we got to do, Joe.
So there's a Benzinga Thanksgiving dinner.
You didn't get the invite?
Ooh, awkward.
Oh.
Well, Joel, I mean, after the last party, when you tried to play Cards Against Humanity, you sure you want to come do it? Can you hang with the Benzinga folks for another party?
No. In fact, I'm quitting right now.
Is
In
Lisa
fact,
gonna?
you
is
guys
Lisa-
can finish up the show on your own.
Is Lisa gonna let you come out and play with us again?
Yeah. We'll bring our bassinets and rattlers and pacifiers for all you young guys and gals.
Hey, there was a quick news item I did want to go over really quickly. Quick news item I want to go over quickly. I don't remember that you guys covered it. There was some news out of Take-Two earlier. Did you guys talk about this one, Joel or Jake? Okay. Take-Two announced the repurchase of 12.02 million shares by the Icon Group. Thus, Brett Icon, two other members of the board, Nelson and Cho, have resigned from the company's board. There was a 13D filing out from Carl Icahn just shortly after. Icahn is really tight with his disclosures. When you see a press release or a 13D filing, he will always follow up with the one that he didn't file. In other words, if he issues a press release first, shortly after you will see the 13D, which discloses those changes. That's exactly what happened this morning. Take-Two shares trading down about 5% in the pre-market session. We got about 9 minutes before the opening bell. Take-Two shares a bit lower on this news item. It sort of seems like the market is misinterpreting this one. I feel like this kind of should be a little bullish. It seems like the Icon Group kind of got in there, did what they're going to do. Now they see that they're sort of completed what I believe they wanted to do, and now they're out. It seems like it should be good news, but it's not exactly working for a Take-Two long today.
What's the symbol on that one?
That one is TTWO, Tango Tango Whiskey Oscar. Take-Two Interactive.
Ooh, boy, it's being active on the downside here. Let's just take a look. TTWO here. It looks like Icon's not having a very good day, huh? Very rare.
I was gonna say that's a rarity.
So you go straight down here off that news. You may after hours. You make a new low from the after hours into the pre-market here, 1590. Getting a bounce off that 1590 level up to 1720, or excuse me, 1620. So those will be your early parameters to follow in the issue. The recent low of the move has been in this 1626 area. So breaking through some major support here. Let's see if we can go out longer term to find anything on this thing. Nope, you were just we're hanging in there above 16, and now you're breaking it. So we'll see below that 1590 pre-market low. Another possible point, minor support. I call it 1571. But below that, you could be breaking down into the lower 15s. Perhaps 1523 was low on July 12th. But Brent, you're not putting a lot of stock in this news here. You think Mr. Icon's going to come in here and defend that $16 level?
I mean, it'll be one I'm watching throughout the day. Let's just say I see it seems like 5% might be a little overdone. I kind of am expecting to see a little fade higher on this one, but what do I know?
It looks like some of our traders are taking my Cracker Barrel comments to heart here. It's knocking the stock down, not liking the biscuits and the gravy here. I see a stock just trading down 580 here. Not sure if there's much volume with that, but for coming out with some good earnings and then just being off the all-time high, boom, you get this shot here down. To see if there was any size. I mean, I told you this thing was thinly traded, and sure enough,
I see like
mean,
1,100 shares.
Really,
Pretty tiny.
yeah. So maybe someone didn't like their breakfast here and came out and whacked the stock or whatever. There's always a long wait at those places too, but keep an eye at 111.31. That was your low, 4-day low. So if the selling here continues, you could get a follow through 111.31. Coming back on the upside, boy, you got 4 points to get up to yesterday's low, 5 points to get up to 117.14.
We got about 5 minutes left before the open. Joel, just want to encourage everyone out there in the chat to please post any stocks or any commodities, anything like that, any trade ideas that you might have into the chat. Kind of, want to get a little community started. So if you got a stack, let's get some discussion going on. You see Chelsea throwing in a Tesla ticker in there. We're going to talk about that one. If you're not a chatter, holy cow, what the heck are you doing? You gotta scroll down a little bit, open up that chat box, log in, get a little discussion going on here. It's great for the pre-market info.
Chelsea's asking here about Tesla. I haven't seen any news hit the tape here. Trading down in the pre-market. Let's see here. We've got a 118.71 low. Trading down $2. I guess if you're trying to swing trade this, you got to use the 117.93 level as a stop. You're $1.50 away from here. One thing I noticed with stocks like this, and this is kind of why I got bearish that Facebook. When it just couldn't get away from that 45.70 level. It didn't, of course, it didn't crack it until yesterday. But once you get a support level and you start to get good bounces off it, and then you hit the support level again, and you get muted bounces off it here, eventually, and other factors took place, pushed it through that critical level, and just kind of using the same thinking here with Tesla. I mean, it looked like you tried to put a bottom in here. Really had muted bounces off that 119 level. So if you've been trying this as a swing trade, you got to let it go at 117.93. Going back longer term in this issue, below that 117.93 level. Boy, you just, I believe, and I think this was last week, and if my memory serves me correctly, you had a pre-market one day last week at 115.55, so that could be next potential support point. Hello, Joanne. I recognize you. You're looking at BKS here, And I don't know where I read this. I think I read this in Barron's that like bookstore sales are up for some reason. I don't know, by like some astonishing percentage here. And since like Barnes and Noble's the only bookstore that you can actually go in and shop around and as opposed to buying it online here, Barnes and Noble has the monopoly on that. A stock.
Joel, when you say bookstore sales, do you mean as in like companies selling off their bookstores, or do you mean actual sales in the bookstores?
You got it, man. You know what? Where else? There used to be Borders, Barnes and Noble. Back in my day, okay.
Dalton, Walden.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, the B Dalton booksellers. But Joanne, looking at this chart here, I mean, you've had a nice run up here. You've had what? Four higher closes in a row, four higher highs. Not quite the same. Yeah, four higher lows. So you got the trend that's going up. I mean, I don't see any major resistance in this thing until you get a little bit higher here. At 1769, I mean, that's still a little bit of ways away from here. You had a 1643 close. What I'd like to see was just some continuation here, through the 1662 level, early in the session. I think if you don't get that immediate follow through the previous day's highs, which it did on the last four occasions, you might get a little subject to profit taking. But longer term, perhaps you could be looking at that 1769 level as a resistance point. Kyle, who's going to be doing his Black Friday shopping at Tiffany's here. Let's take a look. That stock made a huge move in the pre-market. Let's just take a look at the pre-market high here. It's only because that's the all-time high for the issue. Made a pre-market high at 86.88. Since making that 86.88 low, you're finding support just under the $86 level at 85.85. So couple parameters to keep an eye on. Open for business here in the S&P 500, hanging out just an unchanged here. We'll talk about the pre-market low, 1801. That is being defended here in early action. So getting a little pop. Let's see if we can hold the settlement here. Taking a look, Tiffany is all over the place. Did briefly touch that $86 level, but you certainly would have had to been in at 86.01 in order to get filled, because you're getting a nice pop and quickly coming up on the pre-market high. Let's identify for that, traders. Pre-market high 86.88, which is also the all-time high in shares of Tiffany. Let's take a look at good old Detroit company, Ford's Motors, and found off-road daily.
Joel, it's Ford Motor Company, not Ford's. Stop being such a Michigander when you're talking about these companies.
Okay, Ford has been finding some major resistance here at the 1720 level, and that's remaining the same today. You've had over the last 10 trading sessions, you probably had 7-8 highs between 1710 and 1720. So until that resistance gets taken out, could look like you'd be heading back under the $17 level. Yesterday's low, minor support here at 1693. So Ford kind of in a consolidation. If we're looking at Ford, we might as well look at, I guess we can start calling it governmentless motors, because the government is getting out of it. That stock, after the spike when the government was selling out, has not followed through to the upside. That major resistance on Ford, Kyle, is 1720. And for you're looking at the GM levels, if you happen to be trading that issue here, finding support right around the 3750 area, 37.39 was your low from yesterday at 58 low. So good support there. Coming up, GM is at resistance here, Kyle. Yesterday's high 37.87. We've hit 37.85. So you have General Motors at resistance right now.
Joel, Joanne did want a quick breakdown of the Barnes and Noble earnings, and thanks, Joanne, because that really makes the news desk feel good, like we're wanted here. So I'd like to thank you for that one. Q2 EPS 15 cents on sales, a 1.73 billion. Looks like there was some items in there. Not seeing these numbers compare up to what the analysts had too well. The analysts were looking for a loss of, let me see what this was. It was a loss of 4 cents on sales of 1.76 billion. I feel like that sales number was comparable. So a slight miss there, and maybe that's why you're seeing the stock down a couple of percent this morning. Where did those same store sales? I got same store bookstore sales, excluding the Nook. That's a mouthful. Down 3.7%. I'm sure the street's not liking that one either. And the company did reaffirm guidance, though. So on the, if I'm looking for a silver lining, I might say that the reaffirmed guidance is what traders are sort of holding on to today. What bulls are holding on to at least.
Okay, let's move on here for some other issues. And what is a day if you don't talk about Twitter? I'll try and get this in 140 characters or less here.
Oh, very funny, Joe. Very funny.
Am I using that joke too much now? Am I kind of like
I still like it. I think it's got a lot of long term value for you.
I know if when I use it around my dinner table, I kind of get the "oh, Dad," kind of routine. But that's good. I'm happy. My girls are coming home for Thanksgiving, so I have someone to pick on me now besides my wife. So that should be fun. But let's just take a look here. 38.80 was yesterday's low in Twitter. That's the all-time low. Snuck under the $39 level here today, 38.92. So I guess you can call support here now at the $39 level in shares of Twitter. And just to torture myself a little bit more here, I'll take a look at Facebook here. That stock did break that key support yesterday, and you're just not rallying right back up to it. You're starting to get a defense of the $44 level. 44.04 was your low on Monday. 44.14 is your low on today's session. So perhaps 44 will be my new 46 as I buy the 44 puts at the end of the week, and that'll be the number that they carve you out on. Go ahead.
Joel, check out the ES there. Big spike. Was that the 1801 level? Was that a bounce off of that level?
Couldn't take out the pre-market low. The trend it's been holding here for, I don't know, about 2 or 3 years here. I wish I would trade it that way, but you haven't taken out the pre-market low. If you've been using that as a protective sell stop, you're doing okay. If you've been trying to get long there, then you are out of luck. We're moving up, not a lot. I will say this 09.25, which was the all-time high, but another thing that you need to keep your mind on in the S&Ps, and I like to watch this too, is what you do during the regular session. As a lot of people don't trade in the pre-market, they use the regular session. So regular session high yesterday was 06.75. So that would be your resistance point ahead of the all-time high at 1809.25. Let's see what Mr. Tesla did here. Leaning on that support here. Major support at 119. We reiterated that. Week in the pre-market, did take out the 119 level, got to 118.30. So if you were hanging in there with your sell stop at 117.93, they didn't get you yet. Need to get back. Probably that psychological 120 level would be something for you to keep an eye on. Going also here, we talked about General Electric, and just for some reason just had extremely weak day yesterday. It made a 26.73 low, closed right at that level, but boom, it opens up right at that level, 72, and got a little turnaround here, a little 15-cent rally. So perhaps that psychological $27 level is resistance. So GE was able to turn things around. If you've been trading the maker of spam here, it has cleared that major resistance here. It was trading up on the pre-market. I was a little skeptical about the $44 level, but boom, that took off right out of the gate. Opened at the breakout, rallied a buck 50 up to 45.20. You're getting a pullback here now to this. This is mid-range here, so if Hormel's going to continue go back above that 45.20 here, I'm looking at this 44.60 level is as a major support level. Tiffany's continuing on its winning ways here, up $6 here, made a high 87.10, not too far about the from the pre-market high. Let's see what else that we talked about here. Now, one stock that was weak yesterday and is certainly weak today. Shares of IBM. We will take a look at this. Yesterday's low, 177.82. Got to 177.97 here. Also had some support in IBM at the 178 level going back in November. So we'll see. Important level for IBM here to hold in trading, early trading.
Joe, we got a late game request for a Dennis shout out. We got Kyle saying, we need some Dennis coverage. Dennis, if you're out there.
Dennis is in the trade cave, probably with a couple hundred positions on. So these are it's the busiest time of the day for him. A stock that's had a kind of a peculiar move here in the pre-market, and now is totally changing things around. Children's Place. Ticked down to 50.75 in the pre-market. Mixed earnings report. Couldn't get down to that pre-market low of 50.75, which is we had identified as resistance, and then that turned around and is rallied. Only $3 here. So pre-market low holds up, rallying up nicely here. Not a lot of resistance. I mean, you did take out that little double top at the 53.60 area. No major resistance until you get up to close to the $55 level. But boy, that'd be a $4 rally. Not sure it's going to have. Not quite going to have the gas. Dennis is just an update. He only had 45 positions on today, not 200. So okay, light day on the open for
It's
Dennis.
a holiday season.
Okay, Cracker Barrel stock, thinly traded stock, traded down to 111.02 here, is making a little bit of a recovery. We did see some support in that issue. I believe it was ahead of that. Let's see if anybody's out there trading Cracker Barrel. We'll see if we can find a level for you. Just have to go to the intraday. They did hit a little bit in the pre-market. You did have another low in Cracker Barrel, CBRL. Got down. You did have a low at 111.31 if you were using that as a place to cover short or pick up a long. Only took 29 cents worth of heat because you went to 111.02. Kind of drifting up here. No major resistance. You got to get up to fill the gap at 117.14. So got a ways to go.
Joe, I'm watching gold right now. Just fell about $3 or $4 over just last couple minutes. See what kind of technicals you got going on in gold. I'm not sure if you guys were chatting that one up today or not. Looks like the 1244. Just didn't want to hold on this one.
Uh, Gold, yep, it did. It did kind of have a breakdown day yesterday, but did recover here. So let's take a look to see where we can find resistance there.
I
Gold,
mean,
even
when you say a breakdown day, does that give you? I mean, do you tend to believe that the next day will be similar when you see a day like yesterday?
well,
Do you,
yeah, I kind of take that back. It had a breakdown day down to took out the lows of the move, but kind of came back strong. Ended up rallying $15 off that 25.70 low. You did what happened was you got people got a little excited when it went through the 12.54, which was yesterday's high. Got up to 12.47.80. And then when it couldn't hold, when it came back down to that 12.54 level, it came back down to the close. So that close is important, 12.41.20. We made a low right in that area. I'll be looking if this gold, takes out that 12.40.90 low. I think not a lot of support in the 12.30 handle. Could be getting back to that 12.25.70 level. And just take one more look here. We've been talking about this for quite a while. This lower 93 handle for crude. Oh my gosh, don't call it
whoa, wow,
support. Look at that.
good timing on that one. Wow.
Yep, we've gotten a 93. I don't know how many times in the last few trading sessions. Haven't gotten there again. Got well, 93.08's been the low of the move, but you can pull up, your dailies here and take a look. Before we close out the show, and Brent, before you give us a little bit of preview for tomorrow,
Sure.
Dennis is pointing out here. Tesla couldn't get away from that support there. Now making a new low for the move here, 117.93. So couldn't get away from it. Now it's taking it out. We did have an intraday low at 115.55. I believe there was one day from last week. So keep an eye on that. And really now that that former support level 117, or excuse me, 119, 120 is now going to be acting as resistance. And to continue my pain in the Facebook trade here, so much for defending the $44 level. This stock is in free fall here, just making a 43.68, and probably just to make my Thanksgiving dinner aggravating, will probably go to 40. So, Brent, you got any previews?
Yeah, just let me remind traders that we will be getting HP earnings tonight. That's a rather big name. HPQ is a ticker there. There is going to be a little preview on the Benzinga site, so check that one out. We are going to get consumer confidence and also Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index at just about 15 minutes at 10 a.m. here. Tune in for those, and then tomorrow we will get jobless claims, durable goods, and another reading on consumer confidence that is going to be out of the University of Michigan. We will also be getting both the nat gas and the crude oil inventory numbers tomorrow. Normally, crude oil is out on a Wednesday. Normally, nat gas is out on a Thursday. Because the market will not be open on Thursday, we're going to get both of those numbers. Watch nat gas, watch crude oil tomorrow. There's going to be volatile, and probably today leading into that report. I think that's going to do it for the show. Everyone, thanks for joining. Good luck out there, and we will be back with you tomorrow.